Listen up carefully, people. You're about to hear the most conflicted I've ever been. Because I hate to depart this message on the elder Elliot Wilson, but the message is needed, bro. Because he's ruining the illustrious career he's built for himself in hip hop media over the last 4 decades. Elliot Wilson needs to go away. He's ruining his career because he broke the one rule we all learned as a kid to never break. That rule is never overstay your welcome. I had a friend growing up called Tyler. Now, Tyler came from a troubled household, right? They were a little poor, had some conflict going on at his home, so he didn't really like being home. Now, Tyler was a good dude. He was hilarious. He was friendly, had a great personality. He was a good time, right? We loved to hang out with Tyler. But we stopped inviting Tyler over to our homes to hang out because even though we love hanging out with Tyler, when he came over, he overstayed his welcome. He will stay way later than all the other guests. He would often ask to spend the night imposing himself on the household. Now, we understood why a kid with a troubled household would want to spend the night over and stay at a house that's stable with snacks and video games for as long as possible. But eventually it became annoying. Eventually the irritation of Tyler not knowing when to go home and overstaying his welcome consistently outweighed his great personality, his humor, and the joy that he was to hang out with. And eventually we just stopped inviting Tyler completely. You see, overstaying your welcome applies to every aspect of life. It never works out well. Ask Vince Carter. Vince Carter should be regarded in the same breaths as like the Dwayne Wades. But Vince Carter, due to him overstaying his welcome and due to him staying long enough for us to see the pathetic shell of himself, we don't view Vince Carter in that same light. That's just how it goes. And unfortunately for Elliot Wilson, he's running the risk of overstaying his welcome in hip-hop media. Elliot Wilson is 53 years old. Now, he's relatively young in terms of life, but he's old as heck in hip-hop media. Elliot's age is a tad bit problematic in terms of hip-hop media because Elliot Wilson is behind the timeline of a hip-hop media personality or personnel. It's supposed to start off as like a music enthusiast as a kid, get to about 20-something, you get into radio or journalist or columnist, right? And then you probably transition into like a full-blown personality, an interviewer extraordinaire, right? You work for like a record label, or work for a big platform. Then in your 30s, you start your own platform, you build it, you build it, you build it, you build it, you build it. And by the time you're 53 years old, you now have a conglomerate that you can now throw alley-oops and hire the young generation coming up, right, to, run a company and be the foreface of it, as you relax and chill. But in the case of Elliot Wilson, due to mistakes he's made in his career recently, he's unable to do so. He don't have his own platform to where he's able to now put on the young generation and chill back. But instead, Elliot Wilson is now put in a very problematic position where he now has to compete with the young generation for jobs and opportunities instead of being in a position to give the opportunities. And the only reason he's not already in position is because Elliot just made some really dumb career mistakes, bro. Like, mistakes so stupid that when you look back on it, bro, like, you just think to yourself, how did you make a mistake this stupid? One of the dumbest career mistakes that Elliot made, and I think we can all agree this is probably one of the dumbest decisions anybody could make, was when Elliot Wilson chose to work for Tidal over Everyday Struggle. See, Everyday Struggle was a hit show with, Joe Budden and DJ Academics, who a lot of people often refer to as the greatest hip-hop debate show ever. And it could have been the greatest hip-hop show ever if it had tenured. But Elliot Wilson declined to do a show that was that massively successful that sort of like springboarded Joe Budden and DJ Academic's career into like superstardom. Well, that could have been Elliot Wilson. But Elliot Wilson turned down the opportunity to do Everyday Struggle because he wanted to work for Tidal.
If you don't know the story, when I get the contract for Everyday Struggle, your name's on it. Mm-hmm. Like, your name was on the contract they sent to me.
Yeah.
We sent it back to
Joe
like,
still thinks I made the wrong decision. I should have did it.
Explain the decision and explain where you were at in your life where
That made me cry. Come on, it's early.
no, I'm
Where I was at in my life.
No,
But I still have the DM.
Joe's a hard person.
I DM'd Joe on Twitter and said, hey, I think that Complex would do a show with us, try to do the first take of hip hop, blah, blah, would you be down? And he's like, yeah, I'm down, of course.
Wait, so they reached out to you before
They had
Joe.
me ask Joe. They was shook to ask Joe Budden. They had me ask Joe Budden. Yeah, but at the same time, I had reached out to Jay because I saw a title I thought had great potential, and it was getting marred by the beginning of how it started with the press conference, and it got everybody. But I was like, yo, but they're the only service that really looks out for the culture. It really like pay these artists well. They have to create content around what they're doing. That's what needs to happen. So I reached out to Jay about it. I wrote him a note. I wrote him an email. Yeah, I felt like that would be more the move for me at the time.
Everyday Struggle was Elliot Wilson's show. Elliot Wilson had a gold mine and sort of fumbled it to go work for Tidal. Yo, Elliot Wilson could have brought in academics himself and had the show with him and academics, and it still would have been historical. It still would have been monumental. And it still would have been probably like top 2, if not number 1 greatest hip-hop debate show ever. But Elliot Wilson fumbled that. Yo, Everyday Struggle would have put Elliot Wilson in a category of a boss. Moving on from Everyday Struggle, let's say 5 or 6 years later, and then, jumpstart his own platform and using Everyday Struggle to, right? But instead, Elliot Wilson chose the executive position, right? Which sort of shows that Elliot Wilson really isn't too tapped into the pulse of the culture and understand where it's going, right? And him not being tapped in would also work against him when Rosenberg told Elliot, yo, he would fund whatever media venture he wants to do. And Elliot Wilson chose to use Rosenberg's money to fund a website, like a blog page, instead of going digital and doing YouTube, right? He chose to do a blog.
I don't think anyone knew what Everyday Struggle was going to be, but I think you definitely had some foresight.
No, I knew what it was going to be. I thought that there was time to finally. Everyone had tried to do the hip hop debate show in a real way and get it off the ground, and companies weren't really behind it. And I knew Noah at the time at Complex, he had the momentum to do it. And it was actually was going to be an extension of Rap Radar, because what happened was the Rap Radar website, I partnered with Paul Rosenberg, Eminem's manager, a partner really. And he funded it, and we did the website from 2009 to 2017. It's still up, but the business of it, really running it. And Paul had told me he couldn't keep funding it. It was just going to be, it's too draining. Like, it's just economically doesn't make sense in this era. The blog era had kind of passed.
Elliot Wilson chose to allocate the millions of dollars Rosenberg wanted to invest into a website, a blog, instead of allocating that to go digital, instead of allocating that to a YouTube channel, right? Video content. Because Elliot Wilson and B-Dot is on a very short list of hip-hop interviewers. Very short list of hip-hop interviewers, right? Yo, if they would have invested that to go digital, to go into a Rap Radar and actually take Rap Radar to the next level and treat it like a Vlad TV, yo, they would have been much better off, but they didn't, right? And because they didn't, Elliot Wilson is now in the field chasing opportunities, right? And when you're chasing opportunities with the young ones, right, when you're competing for the same opportunities with the young ones, it's hard to be the OG. It's hard to put your arms around and say, here, come here, I got you. And that right there is the conflict that Elliot Wilson is currently facing. He can't be the OG because he's competing with the young ones. So Elliot Wilson has now been relegated to being an old hater online, to hating on anything new and anything popping, because according to him, yo, it's competition. How Elliot Wilson treated Kai Cenat is probably the best example I can give of how Elliot Wilson is hating on the younger generation because he views them as competition. Kai Cenat and Nicki Minaj had a beautiful moment for the culture. It was one of Nicki Minaj's first interviews in quite a while. She showed up on Kai Cenat's stream. They danced, laughed, told jokes. It was a great moment for the culture. Well, a great moment for everyone except Elliot Wilson. Because you know how Elliot Wilson responded to this great moment in the culture? Where Kai Cenat, a young streamer who's on the grind, who we seen grind and stream from a dirty Bronx apartment where rats were crawling all over, to now he got a mansion in Atlanta and he's interviewing Nicki Minaj. You know how Elliot Wilson responded back to that moment, bruh? This is how Elliot Wilson responded to that moment. He would put a real elitist, snarky tweet hip-hop journalism, right, next to a screenshot of Kai Cenat and Nicki Minaj dancing and twerking and having fun. The level of hating that Elliot Wilson conducted in that tweet actually have layers, right? So Elliot Wilson is coming from a point of hip-hop media elitism. Don't get it messed up. Black media has elitism, right? There's a crop of people who believes that, that they're the one who deserves to do all the interviews. They're the real journalists. They're the real media personalities who deserve to be at the forefront of black media, right? And those people sort of isolate and look down upon other forms of media or independent, right? So with Elliot Wilson, that was a snarky comment because, Elliot Wilson deep down believes, hey, bruh, I'm the last of a dying breed, right? I'm one of the last journalists left in hip-hop media, bruh. I should be doing a Nicki Minaj interview, a Drake interview. Nicki Minaj should not be bent over and twerking on this young booger snugger streamer called Kai Cenat. I deserve to do that. So it's hatred. And then there's also a point of Elliot Wilson not fully being able to, be comfortable in his role as an OG because he still got to work and feed his family, right? So it's competition. Kai Cenat got the Nicki Minaj interview. He didn't. So instead of sitting back and applauding the young gun for rising and developing, right, Elliot Wilson got to be a little upset and tight because Kai Cenat is his competition, and he shouldn't be. Now, unfortunately for Elliot Wilson, right, due to antics like this, the respect and reverence that a lot of people have for Elliot Wilson sort of goes away when we look online and see Nicki Minaj and others speaking to Elliot Wilson as if he's a nincompoop, right? See, Elliot Wilson puts himself in position where people have to disrespect him. See, when Nicki Minaj takes to Twitter and say this to Elliot Wilson, like it's almost impossible to then look at Elliot Wilson the same after this, right? In the words of Queen Sleaze, Elliot, if you spit Jay-Z penis out for 1 second, you'll be able to be happy for the newcomers. Isn't that how y'all try to tarnish my image by saying I'm not welcoming new and diss songs with all of them? Know why you not happy for a young black man like Kai tomorrow, B? Nicki Minaj is 100% right. Elliot Wilson can't be happy for Kai Cenat because he's in competition with Kai Cenat. Usually around this time in somebody's of Elliot Wilson's age and stature's career, they're ceremoniously, right, getting ready to be ushered out. Right? They're getting ready to be ushered out, probably take an executive role or have a company to where they just overseeing it, have the young ones do their thing and they like on vacation somewhere. But Elliot Wilson, is competing still. And that's why he can't be happy for Kai Cenat. Elliot Wilson tried to apologize to Kai Cenat, but the damage was already done, bro. Like, you're already being viewed as a hater. So he would put, I apologize to Kai Cenat and his fam. I was out of line and let my competitive nature get the best of me. Why are you being competitive with somebody like 30 years your junior, right? Kai carved his own lane in the game, built a great platform, and deserves respect. Salute the streamers and young creatives getting to the paper and pushing our culture forward. This is what overstaying your welcome does, right? When you overstay your welcome, you get in competition with people you're supposed to be embracing. When you overstay your welcome, you start to do things that are beneath you, right? Like, for example, Elliot Wilson picking beef with Drake, right? Posting reference tracks of Drake's on his Twitter for absolute no reason other than, I guess, to get some attention at 53 years old. It's crazy. Elliot Wilson shouldn't be beefing with Nicki Minaj and Drake at 53 years old. Elliot Wilson should be regarded, oh, that's the OG. Right? When Elliot Wilson walks into a room, he should have the utmost respect from all the popping artists because he paved the way. But because he's in competition with people like academics, Kai Cenat, and others, Elliot Wilson has to do things like post reference tracks of Drake's for attention. When I seen this show, this broke my heart because it gave Thirsty and it gave like just attention seeking, right? Elliot Wilson is in a position in his career where he should be celebrated. He should be looked at as the OG who walks in the room, Nicki Minaj, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, right? And all the poppin' rappers are supposed to be like embracing him, showing him love, right? Giving him his flowers. He shouldn't be in this position. And overall, it's just a dumb career decision because like Like the 2 minutes of attention that you get from, let's say, going at Drake or going at Nicki Minaj is cool, but it's not really worth them then clapping back at you and responding back at you. And now all of their fans and the young generation who are fans of Drake and Nicki Minaj, now when they're hearing Elliot Wilson for the first time ever, what are they hearing? Hater, you ain't ish, you bitter, you ain't doing nothing. That stains his legacy and it stains his career, right? Because Drake commenting under DJ Academic's post of Elliot Wilson at Rolling Loud, still doing like footer work as if he's not a hip hop legend. Drake clowning him for that and teasing him, right? And mocking him and minimalizing his contributions to hip hop. What that does is tells the younger generation, bro, Elliot Wilson isn't somebody to be respected. Just look at how condescending Drake is being to Elliot Wilson because Elliot Wilson decided to be a hater instead of a friend, right? Drake comments, LOL, man's ish on not coming to his platform for a second time, and now Elliot 10 toes down doing Yes Jules run-up interviews at Rolling Loud. Just admit the youth took over, big dog. See, more people is going to see this than Elliot Wilson, I guess, taunting Drake on Twitter.
Honestly ready to do all that shit. I didn't give a fuck what a person felt. You know, they try to.
And I'll be real with y'all, dog. As a fan of Elliot Wilson, that laugh just don't feel the same, man, at Rolling Loud with a Rolling Loud mic, bro. Yo, Elliot Wilson did that laugh in front of Jay-Z. Seeing him do that laugh at Rolling Loud, doing like run-up interviews, it's nasty, man. It's Elliot Wilson, bro. Why are you doing this? Elliot Wilson is going to have an unceremonious exit out of hip-hop media, bro. Elliot Wilson needs to leave hip-hop media now before his media career takes a toll that he can't come back from. You see, Elliot Wilson staying in hip-hop media is essentially making him more insecure, right? And his insecurity is eating him up and getting him to lash out. You see, the more he hears from Nicki Minaj, Drake, and others, how ain't ish he is, how he ain't doing nothing, how the youth is taking over and he'd washed up, right? How he needs to go, you know, minimalizing his contributions, it makes him more insecure and makes him lash out even more, which is why Elliot Wilson and Charlamagne the God is currently beefing, right? Because Elliot Wilson is more insecure than ever. He holds on and he holds value to lists like Complex and their top hip-hop media ranking list. He holds those accolades and being ranked by Complex dear to heart because, like, those are the only compliments, man, that Elliot Wilson is getting nowadays, right? So when, you know, Complex gives him number 5 and everybody is saying, bro, like, this is like this is clearly cap. Like, Elliot Wilson isn't a top 5 most impactful hip-hop media personalities in 2024, bro. Like, be real and cut it out. When the world tells him that, he gets insecure and lashes out. Like Charlamagne took to his podcast and you know to tell Elliot Wilson, hey, bro, yo, Elliot Wilson ain't number 5, yo. All right, like Elliot Wilson is old. He hating on the youth and the culture, bro. He's not really a top 5 most impactful, and I don't even know why they would give it to him.
I think Jason. That's what I mean when I say why are you upset that people are transcending hip hop? I'm not trying to be the 50-year-old person still complaining about not being on lists, beefing with screamers, doing goofy shit, you know, starting shit, you know, online with rappers just to keep my name relevant. No, I want to do things and put my...
And if we're being 100% real, Charlamagne the God ain't tell not one lie. Elliot Wilson had a great run, an illustrious career. Elliot Wilson could leave right now, find somewhere to retire at, bruh, right? Probably go to Angola and retire, and he will go down in hip-hop media history as one of the GOATs. He's Elliot Wilson. But the more that Elliot Wilson overstays his welcome in hip-hop media, Elliot Wilson is going to tarnish the respect and legacy he has built for himself. He's just going to tarnish it, right? Yo, Charlamagne the God hit it right on the head. Yo, we're in the clout era, right? And for Elliot Wilson to compete in the clout era, he has to do some clout chasing too, right? But we could stomach clout chasing much better if it's coming from, let's say, a 21-year-old in Kai Cenat, right? or like a young person, right? Like we could tolerate clout chasing if you're in your 20s. But if you are 53 years old still clout chasing, it comes off as nasty and desperate, and we can't stomach it, as better as we would stomach it if it was like Kai Cenat clout chasing, right? Now, Elliot Wilson responded back to Charlamagne the God, essentially calling him out, and he lashes out, man, right? He says, F you, F you, F you, we not cool. And he makes it perfectly clear that he's still trying to compete in the current landscape of hip-hop media.
I feel like we just never really clicked like that. And also, I just didn't like the last little brilliant idiot shit he did, talking crazy about me being on the list, top 5 and shit. Never explaining why I shouldn't be top 5. And I'm just tired of his shit. And it's the old school. It's like at a certain point, you just got to say, fuck this person. Like, fuck you. Like, I'm born 1971. Like, it can just be that. We don't have to be cool. We don't got to pretend. You clearly have an issue with me, or you don't like my presence in the game. Like you said, maybe you think I should stand down and be a legend. I'm not here to get this like legendary badge with Big Boy or Angie or Sway. Like, I'm here to compete right now in the year of 2024. I know I'm a legend already. Like, I still want to compete and create great content. I was hot before you, nigga. I'll be hot forever. Like, it's what it is. Like, when you was getting Wendy coffee, nigga, I was hot. I would stay hot. I would stay hot, nigga. It's what it is.
For Elliot Wilson's sake, I just hope he doesn't stay around and linger long enough to hear those famous words from Draymond Green. We don't love you like Kobe, nigga. I just hope Elliot Wilson, he doesn't linger around and overstays his welcome to the point where people start feeling that way. You see Angie, she gets the Kobe retirement year, right? Like, she gets the like the ceremonious exit. Sway will get the ceremonious exit. Elliot Wilson, man, I don't know if he's gonna get the ceremonious exit that he deserves. Y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think, all right? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here to find out why Mr. Beast is really cooked. Like, 100% done. All right, click on this video here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.